Welcome to the FC Year Recap, which will feature the best players from every single month. And officially, the game released September 29th, so that's where we're gonna get started. And as per usual, we have broken, rank 1, foot champs, debatable, in the pine. And as for the criteria, overpowered, I need longevity, and then accessibility. So if you're expecting a bunch of players that you never see in action because you can't afford them, this won't be that type of video. I will leave off plenty of individuals. Run up the comments with the best players you've used. Technically, we're starting in October. Mbappe, 91. How could he not be broken? The sheer amount of time where he was upper echelon. We're talking 6 or 7 months. Clear. Virgil van Dijk. Again, players didn't catch up to Virgil until multiple promos. I call it how I see it. Haaland, the 91 was not nearly as good. And he didn't have the same lengthy period. Debatable at best. That's going to change as he upgrades for the cover star. Pateas was disgusting. Pure filth. What an introduction. We'll go foot champs. This Hansen, the 91. Repeat all day, every day. That Trailblazer, you saw it. You knew it. You understood it, was expensive at the time, and authentic as they come. We might have jumped around with some of the ordering. Madison was maybe our first SBC, at least one of them. We knocked it out, though I'd like to say it was an early adopter bias because he was quickly in the pine. Blanc with the 88. Filth. Let's be transparent. He had at least 3 months and some extra change. Kubo, I knocked out the SBC similar to Madison. I wanted to toss him in there because he had something about him. It was an introduction to the title, but as quick as you completed, you might have also discarded. That Rodrigo, you did not. Wow, what an item. As it stands, he was my most capped player, more than 600 appearances for the club, and it has to be at least rank 1. I thought Sonaldo didn't feel right. It was expensive, a little overrated. I'm actually tossing him to the pine. Is that a hot take? Perhaps. He wasn't built for super meta, but we wanted it to work, and he couldn't play out wide, which takes me into some colder weather as we head to November, and Ginola had his first upgrade, and he did not disappoint. Long hair, looking fluid. Has to be broken. Again, you're looking at 3 or 4 months easy of being a contender every single weekend. Haaland, now with a significant upgrade. I don't think he was quite to the broken category, but leaps and bounds better than the gold item. The game had changed. We have not figured out, or we haven't had the patches yet where it was all about the knockdowns. That's when Haaland's going to have the upward motion. We also saw the beginning of Modric and players like Modric. So fun to use. Quick turning, fantastic passing, play styles on deck. I'm giving him the weekend. You could tell me how you feel, but that's where I'm leaning in. Jude Bellingham, we wanted this to work. We just weren't getting upgraded items, more or less in the debatable section. Salah was problematic, that I will not deny. Whether you whipping in finesses or abusing the Trivella, you had yourself a weekend league performer. Best early edition SBC. Tell me someone better. Bacha gave you that extracurricular, and sadly, her future items were not at the same level or same place. Didn't have the same delivery she got caught up to, but this item still has to hit for me in rank 1. Sophia Smith was fun, but she was not at the level of Hansen. And as time went on, you noticed. Again, players overtook what we had in Notion or Emotion with the ocean. December arrived, and this Casillas came with it. And I have never seen a goalkeeper improve so much. Casillas has always been underwhelming. You left him out of the squad. He was undersized. The cat, it didn't work. It wasn't an Elgato. However, if you want to drip out your office, everything here is from Elgato, and it'll be linked down below. Make some pickups. Get involved, improve the running order. Are we giving a goalkeeper broken? I'm not sure, but he cost me some games. I hated going up against him. And you might notice a theme with a lot of SBCs. It was on my mind, and it was hard to generate coins. I had an RTG, so I was highly familiar with squad building challenges. This Messi, game changer for him, no doubt. I'm gonna lean on a rank 1. Remember, you got the extra links. You didn't have chemistry issues. Starting to look a little more explosive. Step overs coming into play. He was cooking. Mendy at an 87 did not make sense, but he was over delivering as he does. Bomb Pastor, what an item. I loved using her. And this 89 was the major shift. She didn't cost a lot either. If it was a different day, different program, I would have her coming into broken before you know it. But I rate Bomb Pastor, but she needed this upgrade. And since then, she's had multiple upgrades. You can Pick your poison. But the highlight team were the attackers in December. Henry came out and he looked different. The gravy was spectacular. I wanted a re-up. We finally had the Arsenal legend in full effect. We had the player of the month Mbappe, which was of course an upgrade from the 91, and you could still use him now. I promise you I could still get by with that 93 Mbappe. That damn good. And maybe the most annoying player to go up against at the time was the Eusebio SBC. All this was in the similar time period. It was wild. It was out of pocket. If you needed more time to build the SBC for either Mbappe or Eusebio, you could transition from December into January. So that's what we're going to pick up. Ruud Gullit. We had an SBC early. It was the winter wild cards. This could be a theme in the future. At least the weekend. Maybe I'm downplaying. Push him into rank 1. Kai Havertz. Highly overlooked. The 87 was kind of nice. Didn't last that long. Again, there were issues when it came to new promos, new items, new iterations, but he was sort of a surprise. Another player with an unbelievable amount of caps on the squad, and our first entry level into 99 overall dribbling. And something felt broken with that Christmas edition Balotelli. You could squeeze him into December if you want. Depends on the SBC when you completed him. I've slotted him into January. He deserves to be in rank 1 for what I did with him. We had Cafu, whether you got the 91 or even the 92, which had a crossover. What a player, what an item, and it gave you a sure thing with a fullback. And I'd like to reiterate, at this point in the game, Cafu was the perfect type of fullback. You did not need the size. You weren't dealing with knockdowns. The gameplay had not shifted, and he gave you enough of the body type, enough of the offense and the passing and the precision. He had consistency and continuity, and the Brazilian never lets you down. Bruno Fernandes. I don't know if I was as big of a believer, but I was happy to see the flashback, which led to Alphonso Davies. Heavy price tag, but he was good for it. And now we're seeing team of the year. And I didn't want to overhaul or overdo this for January, but Haaland's 97 shifted everything about him. And now we're starting to see that knockdown culture. We're starting to see him on through balls and lobbing it forward. If you were in doubt, don't kick it out. Just lob city and let Haaland dunk that thing. Hansen, same situation, different play style, but she had early doors made her way into the best winger category and conversation. Yashin, we didn't ask for this, but his center back item was nice. Serious business. Came out of the blue. EA does that. Virgil van Dijk, he's going to join the 89 overall as well. You could pretty much pick a Virgil. That's up to you. And then we had the controversy of all controversy, Messi. 97. If you played a bunch of Ultimate Team, it felt like at least 20 to 25% of the community had this player pick locked and loaded. EA did not know what to do. And we haven't seen a blunder at that level that early in any previous installment that I can think of. By all means, use the comment section. And it led us into February, which had beautiful resurgence of players that gave you so much longevity, just prime time. Sawa played so much for the club. She might deserve broken, but that's where I'm putting her. George Best, unbelievable. Both of them were right around 1 million coins. They weren't cheap, but they were so worth it. Pena had some phenomenal finesse shots, but there was just no long-term playthrough. But she was cheap. She was an SBC. I'm not happy about putting her into the pine, but amongst this group and the criteria that I laid out, what's right is right. Mia Hamm, 95 or the 93, depending when you can make the moves. But once this was reassessed, reinserted, uploaded, and available, incredible. With spring around the corner, we head into March. Franck Ribéry, I would not give him the same level of hype or even return of investment comparatively to George Best or to Sawa. For that reason, we'll go foot champs. Timo Werner at the 92 might have to go to broken. I saw this man every weekend for months. Toni Kroos, what an item, what a player. This 94 with the skill moves and some of the passing play styles. He's got the 97 that technically came out later, but some of you might even prefer the 94 just based on the play style difference. And we saw him in the pro scene, which I can't remember the last time I've seen Toni Kroos in an esports environment. Rolfo, top tier value, broken. Again, there's upgrades to come, but this month, this period with some of these SBCs, prime time. Rafa Marquez, fun for me to use. Someone that I wanted to bring into the convo. Longevity, maybe some limitation. You could also Evo him, but I don't want to get into a deep dive of Evos because there's a lot. April was the beginning of the early team of the season, and a few of those items, they stood up, They stood out. Kai Havertz, the 94, has to be broken. I loved him as a center mid. As soon as you upgraded your midfield, you then moved him to a fullback. Again, now we are starting with this new meta and the knockdowns. You needed larger fullbacks. They could defend better. He had that in his locker. The 94 Drogba. Don't know where this came from, but I'm going broken again. Crazy. Lucas Vasquez. Love the price point. I used him longer than I probably should have. And for that reason, he's going foot champ. He even got minutes off the bench. Bisek did not make any sense. Maybe our first new wave of center backs that were just large. The amount of space he took up, the frames that he covered, to a degree, it was unprecedented. May brought official team of the season products to market. We had Odegaard, loved him. Not an Arsenal supporter. So much fun with the passing. And we're seeing more of that becoming a focal point. Passing play styles, being able to split or make key passes, some of the through balls. You were finding bodies that weren't open previously. We had Sorloff. I don't even know what to do with him. If you want the 95, go for it. Happened later. But at this point, I kind of want him in broken. He was a cheap version of Haaland that you could argue dribbled better. Joselu. Still being used right now. Procine, he's now being played as a fullback. For that reason, I have to have him in broken. And a player that did not have any history of being in lineups, getting PT. You tell me, I'll hear you out. Explosive fullback with Alphonso Davies. It just seems like a trend that I lean on using him, put him into motion. Still qualified to this day. We'll go rank 1. We had Jude Bellingham for the big boys. Box-to-box greatness. Teo Hernandez took over that left back role for many. If you're looking at the highest level, max budgets, best available, that was the combo. Cristiano started climbing the ladder, winning every single header, had that built-in aerial, if you will. Post team of the season, I believe we had a decline, even though we had an uptick with more football on display with the Euros and Copa America and so many upgrades that could be made. I just think it was almost too much for people to consume. Barcola. I think he has to be rank 1. Araujo knocked him out immediately. Love that SBC. Highly regarded. Xavi Simons. Glad that Leipzig got to keep Xavi Simons. Rivaldo. Nobody asked for it. But this 98 endgame. I'm happy for the Brazilian. Unexpected. Kyle Walker. As we're recording, premier right back. Saliba. Brilliant. Absolute demon on the pitch. An enforcer. Good with the turning. Often find him even more mobile than the likes of a Virgil van Dijk. It could be a hot take. I didn't say he was better. I just said some of the individualism was the turning. Might be a little more responsive for you. And I guess that wraps up June. We might be running June and July together collectively here. Pirlo, as the summer heat kicked in, we got this 95 out of nowhere. And with the passing play styles, combine that with some skill moves, this Pirlo was in the pro scene. Seedorf. Back in action. Gonna toss him in a rank 1. Weghorst, people are using and abusing. Some might have him in broken. I'm keeping him here. Now you've got the knockdown meta full send. Rudiger, cheap as could be, broken. Kanate, filth. Again, a bruiser, just shoulders that keep going. And I guess that brings us to where we are currently and the iterations of the 99s. I will mention the initial trifecta where you had Enzo, got the upgrade, let him into rank 1. Pedri, I think you can do better. And then DePaul is the best of that three-piece, in my opinion. But again, we have been uploading full videos covering every single release. So I'm not going to do a deep dive when it comes to the summer of football from June, July, and August. But I wanted to throw some different players in motion. I wanted to talk about some of the past players that stood out from certain months that got more minutes, made bigger differences, and became club legends, at least this way. And if you've made it this far in the video, I've got a question. Should we do an award show? And I'll give you a few examples. You could have the best attacker, which if you have unlimited budget, R9 or Haaland, or best midfielder with a Ruud Gullit, or a best defender with a Virgil van Dijk, biggest surprise player, maybe a Toni Kroos or a Modric. You get where I'm going. I could put together a bunch of categories if you'd find that interesting. And in order to confirm that video, put rewards in the comment section. So that will be the indicator. I appreciate all of you. Let me know your thoughts on a bunch of different players at different time periods, and I have a lot more content coming out ASAP.